The story begins with Flum being crowned the new hero of the hero's party, but everything suddenly changes. A purple-haired man slams her against the wall and tells her to stop dreaming. It was all just memories. In reality, Flum was in a disgusting prison. Flum touches her scar, wondering what will become of her now. She looks around and asks a fellow prisoner how many days she's been there. The girl, named Milkit, says about 3 days, but Flum can only notice Milkit's beautiful eyes. The torches light up with a snap of fingers. A fat, disgusting man appears, humiliating the prisoners, saying they're worthless to him. He drinks his cheap booze, saying he's going to get rid of them all. Everyone looks terrified as the jailer claims that buying and feeding them wasn't cheap for him. Suddenly, he pulls a lever, and a sword appears, along with various other things falling down. The block-headed jailer says they'll all pay with their deaths. Out of nowhere, some rotten zombies appear that they call ghouls. They're the lowest level of monsters. The ghouls advance on the prisoners, biting and tearing chunks out of them. Flum watches, terrified. The fat blockhead warns he'll give them one more chance. If anyone can defeat the ghouls, he'll put them back up for sale. Warning those who remain, he says they'll need a weapon. He points to the sword. A guy who's just skin and bones looks at the sword and runs toward it. That bald fatso just laughs. The skinny dude grabs the sword and it starts glowing. But suddenly, his hand catches fire and starts melting. The fire spreads across his whole body. The guy turns into jelly. The gap-toothed fatso explains that the sword is cursed. Anyone who touches it melts instantly. He says the sword is epic class, but since he was a stupid man, he bought it, just like he bought her. He laughs at her and asks, "What kind of half-assed hero are you?" Flum suddenly remembers her past, being humiliated by her companions, calling her trash. She saw all her companions fighting bravely in battle, while she could only hide behind a rock. Flum remembers how close she was to Cyril. They were the same age. Cyril was strong, but Flum wasn't. Flum only did household chores, only what she could handle. But when that purple-haired psycho was holding her against the wall, Cyril saw and just turned her back. He threw her to the ground and sold her to that gap-toothed fatso. But first, he grabs an iron and heats it up. He holds her down, brings the hot iron to her face. Flum screams for mercy, but he has none, branding her at any cost. Tears stream down her branded face. Back in the prison, Flum cries, thinking everything could have been different. A girl begs for mercy at the cell bars. The fat guy approaches and, without blinking, kills her. Flum, crying, begs not to die like this. The ugly fatso laughs, saying he paid a fortune for her being from the hero's party, screaming that she's useless. Trash. Flum cries hard, remembering her party and the humiliations she endured. That sleazy fatso sits down and asks why she doesn't grab the sword and fight for her life. Her only options were to die being devoured or give up, or fight for her life, even at risk of being melted like a marshmallow. Flum says she doesn't want either option, but she stands up and faces reality. She's going to die anyway. She runs toward the sword, but gets grabbed by one of the zombies that bites her leg, another on her arm, tearing chunks out of her. But despite everything, she stretches out and manages to grab the sword, smiling. She says she doesn't feel pain anymore. A purple fire covers her entirely. The sword's eye lights up. Flum falls to her knees on the ground, and her eyes glow strangely. The fatso wonders what's happening. Flum stands up, pulls the ghoul off her shoulder with one hand, throwing it against the cell bars. Shocked, the jailer wonders how she did it. He wonders how her wounds are healed. Flum, shocked, questions how she went back to how she was before. The fatso orders the monsters to devour her now. They advance on her, but Flum remembers Cyril's move and does the same, defeating all the monsters. Milkit looks at Flum, shocked. The jailer says she's amazing and asks if she wants to do business with him. Flum kills him without thinking twice. With tears in her eyes, Flum thinks she deserves to live and that she's not the trash everyone said. She looks at the sword and, being epic equipment, it disappears and becomes a mark on her hand. Flum runs to Milkit and calls her to leave, but Milkit asks if she'll be in Flum's service. Flum answers no, it's just for them to get out. Milkit says, "If I go with someone who won't be my master, I don't know what will become of me." Shocked, Flum thinks she doesn't know what it's like to have a life without being a slave. To take the girl, Flum tells her she'll be her master from that moment on. Milkit takes her hand, and the two leave, climbing the stairs. They arrive in front of a door and open it. In another place, there's a meeting where the Pope talks about the end of the 30-year war, but demons continue threatening human territory. Now, they'll unite with the heroes chosen by Origin. The bells ring, and in the middle of that vast city, Flum and Milkit are running. They run barefoot, but suddenly, a guy about 7 feet tall sticks his foot out and Milkit trips, falling into Flum's arms. The guys surround them, and Flum asks if she's okay. Out of nowhere, the guy behind her pushes her. Flum looks at them and leaves. On the way, Milkit asks if something happened. Flum says no. In another place, Flum sees that she can now use her weapon's Analyze ability. Important information appears on the weapon. She tests it and realizes she got lighter, remembering that instead of melting her body, it ended up healing itself. Flum is confused. Milkit says it's like it inverted, and Flum notices it's her supposedly useless ability, Reversal. Negative effects become positive, and melting becomes healing. She starts smiling, looking like a psychopath, and blurts out, "Of course I was never going to figure it out. Who would think of using cursed weapons?" She explains to Milkit that thanks to her affinity, curses make her OP as hell. She turns around and celebrates, thanking the heavens. Flum vents, saying she always thought her affinity was useless, didn't know it could be used like this. Milkit responds that she doesn't understand very well, but she's sure her master is extremely incredible. Flum looks at her and says her reaction was lame. Flum extends her hand, pulls her, and they run off, because they don't have much time. She explains, if they want to survive, the most important thing right now is money. Milkit asks where they're going, and Flum says to the Adventurers Guild. In another place, the douchebag with purple hair says Flum decided to return to her village because it made no sense for her to continue traveling with them, that she decided to go back of her own free will. He states she wasn't useful to them. Cyril, the backstabbing snake that she is, agreed with him. Cyril remembers the day they talked and she agreed. She thinks she said horrible things to Flum. She remembers how much Flum helped her resist the pressure of being a hero and thinks how ungrateful she was. The purple-haired guy says Cyril is now worthy of him, stating she's a natural-born hero and he's a sage, and people like them were made to be together, like one soul. The kingdom was divided into 4 districts: Central, East, West, and North. Services and commerce were in the Central District. The East District was where the rich lived. The North District was where the royal castle was, and finally, the West District, where the poorest and most marginalized lived. Arriving at the guild, Flum tells the receptionist she came to become an adventurer. She asks the receptionist to issue a license for her, but the half-assed receptionist was filing her nails and told Flum they'd be better off becoming ladies of the night, inviting them to a brothel she knew. Flum gets pissed and says she can handle it, demanding the license. The receptionist says she's trying to warn her in a kind way. The drunks around start laughing at them. Coming down the stairs, a guy named Dine arrives and puts his hands on Flum's shoulders, telling the receptionist they should be more welcoming. Flum looks at him curious. He grabs a quest, signs it, and hands it to the girls. Flum thanks him. Dane says she doesn't need to thank him, shakes her hand, and she leaves. Flum thinks it'll be easy because she thinks it's rank F, just like the ghouls from the prison. Inside the guild, a guy asks Dine if he's sure, because those monsters on her quest are like 5 times stronger than rank F. Dine says he only increased the difficulty a bit to see if they can handle it. They toast and laugh at Dane's evilness. Flum and Milkit head toward their first hunt, but they have no idea what awaits them. Later, Flum tries to remove the slave mark but soon gives up, because the ink that human trash used on her is special. She gets discouraged, realizing she'll have to live with it forever. Milkit approaches her, and Flum stares at Milkit's eye, admiring how beautiful it is. Milkit, still in doubt, asks if Flum doesn't find her face ugly and disgusting, and still tries to understand why Flum hasn't abandoned her. Flum says she would never abandon her in the city, because surely she'd be in danger if left alone. Milkit questions her, trying to understand why Flum freed her from the disgusting cell. Flum says with complete sincerity, "Because I would feel sad and lonely." Milkit can't understand because she considers herself annoying and worthless, and even says it would be more advantageous for Flum if she sold her as another slave. Flum then exposes her true motives and says maybe she saved her out of pure ego. She says she's weak and useless, and that's why she was expelled and sold as a slave. She also says she saved Milkit to make her happy, and with that, still have a reason to keep living. Flum admits this was quite a selfish impulse, but that was the reason she took her in. Milkit can't really understand, but even Flum doesn't understand what she's feeling or doing. Meanwhile, at the guild, the despicable trash are betting whether the girls will come back or die on the mission. Dine arrives and one of the guys says he heard a slave trader was murdered recently. Dine says that's super normal in the underworld, but the guy says it was the church knights themselves investigating the crime, which is strange because normally it would be the royal army doing this type of investigation. Dean quickly concludes the reason is illicit drugs. Back to the girls, Flum and Milkit finally arrive at the mission location and notice the skeleton of an adventurer who was probably killed by a werewolf, and, to their bad luck, a werewolf appears. Flum uses the Analyze ability and realizes the monster has 512 attributes. Milkit asks if that's bad, and Flum explains that anything above 500 attributes is considered a rank D monster, and that they were definitely tricked by Dane and the woman from the West District Guild. But Flum is confident she can beat the werewolf because she currently has 995 attributes, and any adventurer above 1,000 becomes rank C. And to top it off, she has the curse's healing effects. which are extremely powerful. Milkit asks her to wait a bit and shows there are several werewolves lurking. Seeing this, Flum remembers Gaudio's teachings, which said monsters usually travel in packs. At that moment, the girls witnessed something insane for the first time. One of the werewolves started absorbing the others and gave rise to a grotesque creature, a kind of chimera. Flum quickly realizes this creature has over 1,800 attributes. The chimera notices the two and immediately attacks, but Flum escapes with Milkit in her arms, and the place where the chimera attacked starts spinning. Flum tries to attack the chimera, but ends up missing, so she tells Milkit to run to a safe place. The chimera attacks her again, but Flum dodges easily and realizes her body is much lighter and more agile. The chimera keeps attacking, and Flum realizes the creature is dumb and slow, so she takes advantage of an opening and hits the creature's torso. But when she was about to finish it off, the chimera uses the cut and spins its entire torso, delivering an attack on Flum. She manages to block in time, but is incredulous, trying to understand how the monster is capable of doing this. That's when she realizes she got a cut on her arm. And since everything the chimera touches starts spinning, her arm spins non-stop and she feels excruciating pain. To prevent it from spreading to her entire body, she quickly rips off her own arm and hides behind some ruins. Then her absurd healing power kicks in, and a brand new arm grows again. The fight continues, and although the chimera makes unpredictable movements, it's very dumb, and Flum cuts the creature in half. Believing she defeated the monster, Flum remembers she needs the werewolf's fangs to prove she completed the quest, but it's at that moment that several arms emerge from the fallen chimera's body, to Flum's surprise. And to make it worse, the head she had grabbed to collect the fang bites her, and her arm starts spinning again. Hidden, her arm spins so much you can hear the cracks of her bones breaking. Realizing it's spreading, Flum drives her sword into the wall and, trying to endure the absurd pain, she prepares to cut her arm. The pain is unbearable, but she has no choice, and so she severs her arm off, preventing the curse from spreading. Right after, another arm grows, and with blood boiling, she prepares to finish off the chimera once and for all. But looking at the huge monster in front of her, she thinks about running, but wonders what will happen to Milkit if she dies. So motivated to never leave Milkit alone, Flum charges at the monster. She knows that if the monster touches her, her body will spin until she becomes a rolled-up meat cake. So she notices they're on a bridge and cuts it with a powerful attack. The chimera lands on its feet, but Flum throws her sword at the creature's foot, jumps and calls her sword back. And taking advantage of the momentum and speed of the fall, she delivers a devastating attack on the creature. The bridge debris falls on top of the monster, eliminating it for good. Meanwhile, in a safe place, Milkit is thoughtful, remembering Flum's words that said her only reason to keep living was her, and that she wanted to make her happy. Milkit feels a tightness in her heart, because she considers herself unworthy. In her entire life, no one ever said they would make her happy. Quite the opposite. All her masters just used her, and then discarded her like a mere animal. None of them even considered her as human, and due to the wounds on her face, some felt disgusted just looking at her. As the sun begins to rise, Flum finally appears, and Milkit is super happy to see her master alive and without any wounds. Flum collapses with relief because, since it was the first time she faced such a dangerous challenge, she felt very scared. Soon after, they went to a small stream, and Flum washes to remove all the blood and sweat from the battle. Previously, Flum had analyzed the gauntlets from the earlier adventurer's corpse and realized they were cursed, which would be perfect for her abilities, and stupid or not, she took them. Then, Milkit goes back to the earlier topic about Flum making her happy. Milkit says she's not the right slave for Flum to do that and asks to be sold, and to reinforce her request, Milkit removes the bandages from her face, revealing a swollen and reddened face, almost rotten. Milkit says that, with a face like hers, she'll only be a burden to her master. Flum quickly realizes these stains are mustard toxins and asks to look closer. Milkit tries to get away from Flum, believing the toxin is contagious, because that's what her disgusting previous master said. She doesn't want Flum to have a horrible appearance like hers, but Flum knows this toxin very well and knows it's not contagious, and hugs her anyway. Flum says with love and care that something simple like this isn't even close to making her give up being her master. Milkit's heart warms up, because this is the first time someone has hugged her without feeling disgust or repulsion. Flum then promises she'll pull Milkit out of this darkness that imprisons her, and that they'll build a happy life together. Milkit says she doesn't know what happiness is, and Flum says that's okay, because that way, they can search for happiness together. And so, even not quite understanding what she's feeling, Milkit feels a slight tightness in her poor, broken little heart. During the night, in another place, the hero's party is shaken. Jean complains about Linus's horrible food and calls them all pathetic, because none of them can make decent food. Eterna throws it in Jean's face that Flum was the one who made the group's food, but the idiot had the brilliant idea of kicking the girl out. This irritates Jean. Then we realize that with Flum's absence, the heroes' party is slowly falling apart. A short time later, Flum and Milkit arrive at the guild and Flum hands over the werewolf fangs. The woman is impressed. An NPC with a dumb face doubts that a mere slave could complete a mission like that. So Flum knocks him off the chair and points her sword at his neck and says it was so easy to take him down. The NPC quickly realizes she's carrying an epic sword. Then Flum receives her adventurer's license and payment for completing the mission. Dine doesn't like this at all, and will definitely be scheming something. Later, Flum and Milkit go to an inn and dive into a huge plate of spaghetti. She thanks the owner, not just for the food, but for receiving 2 slaves and even letting them change clothes. The man seems like a good person and states, with a big smile, that he's the one who's grateful, because it's been a while since he had guests and they made him super happy. So, seeing they were finally treated like human beings, Flum can't hold back tears and tells Milkit that the next day, she'll buy clothes that look good on her. Milkit tells her not to worry about her because she's just a slave, but Flum rebuts and asks her to consider it an order. And so, a girl who lost everything she had, and a girl who never had anything prepare to start a new life together. The next day, Milkit gets a complete makeover and receives new maid outfits, much to the delight of Flum and the shop owner. Milkit still thinks it's wasteful for Flum to spend money on her. Flum keeps buying things for Milkit, but due to traumas deeply rooted in Milkit's soul, she can't understand why Flum is being so kind to her. She apologizes to Flum for making her spend so much money. Flum really doesn't like hearing that, and pins her against the wall. Flum makes it crystal clear to Milkit that when Milkit is happy, she's happy too, and lovingly asks her not to worry about silly things like that. Right then, some jerk NPC bumps into them on purpose, but since karma never misses, 2 bandits rob him immediately after. Flum notices the bandits are Dine's crew. Another victim of the bandits shows up asking for help. Flum puts on the cursed gloves and, with her reversal power, instead of becoming slow and weak, she becomes way stronger and faster, and takes off after the bandits. She quickly gets in front of the bandits, but they split up. Lucky for Flum, someone else runs past chasing one of the bandits and tells her to go after the other one. Flum easily catches the bandit by jumping off a wall and landing right in front of him. The guy tries to throw a fireball at her, but she dodges it effortlessly, grabs his arm, and snaps it like a twig. While dragging one bandit, the other gets thrown right in front of her. Turns out the one who caught the other bandit was a super cute little girl with her bangs pinned back and a dazzling smile. The little girl is a nun from the Church of Origin named Sarah. Despite her adorable appearance, Sarah isn't weak. She's got 1,069 abilities. Right after, they meet up with the man who got robbed. The guy introduces himself as Lichman Cathy, and Flum realizes he owns the Man Cathy shop. He thanks them both, and Sarah says defeating evil, ugly people is just her duty as a nun. Sarah introduces herself and asks who Flum is. Flum introduces herself as an adventurer from the West District, and also introduces Milkit. The name Flum sounds familiar to both the guy and Sarah, but Flum quickly changes the subject and asks what they'll do with the bandits, since they'll definitely go back to stealing. While thinking about some kind of punishment for the bandits, Sarah remembers when she used to get in trouble at the church and got punished by the nuns as a lesson, and ends up getting sad. Flum explains that some evil people don't learn even when they're punished, and this makes Sarah even sadder. She then runs off to call her guard friend so they can decide what to do with the bandits. Lich, with a serious and worried expression, asks Flum for a private quest. Even knowing it might be illegal since there's no guild mediation, she decides to hear Lich's request, because he doesn't seem like a bad person. Lich explains that his wife has an illness that not even the most powerful clerics in the church can cure, but the disease can be cured with specific medicinal herbs. However, there's a problem. The church banned all kinds of medicinal herbs, claiming it defies Origin's will. And after reading several books, he discovered that the remedy that could cure his wife can be made with the Kialari flower. Flum is unsure whether to accept this quest or not, because if the church finds out, she's gonna be in deep trouble. But when Lich says that without this herb his wife will die, Flum is moved and accepts his request. Sarah arrives with her friends, and when they see the bandits are from Dine's group, they immediately get discouraged. As church knights, they can use holy magic and bind the bandits with a magic rope. The knight then teases Sarah, messing up her hair, and says goodbye while taking the criminals away. Sarah notices the worry written all over Lich's face and immediately deduces it has to do with herbs. He tries to deny it and asks what makes her think the reason is herbs. Sarah explains she's met someone with the same look and problem before and solved everything by finding and bringing herbs to that person. Flum doesn't understand, since the church banned herbs in the kingdom, but Sarah says she doesn't care. If someone needs help, the clergy's role is to help. Those were the very words of the heroine Maria herself. Sarah is a huge fan of Maria and says with all her strength that if there are things magic can't cure but medicine can, of course they should use it. But very quietly, she asks them not to tell anyone she said that, because if they find out, she'll be punished again. She asks to let her help them, and both agree. Meanwhile, Dine finds out it was Flum who captured his men, and gets super pissed. He decides it's time to teach Flum a lesson, calling two really sketchy-looking guys. At night, Flum doesn't even eat dinner, and heads straight to the bathroom. When she heard Sarah mention the heroine Maria, it shook her and made her remember the moments she spent with the hero group, where, after a battle, Maria was going to heal her, but Jean stopped her, saying it would be a waste of magic. As cruel as what he said might seem, he was right, because healing magic doesn't work on Flum. In fact, it hurts her instead of healing. But even knowing this, Maria gets super sad and obeys Jean. Lying in bed, Flum is pretty down. Milkit comes in and asks why she's so sad. Flum says she just remembered someone from her old group, but Milkit immediately figures out the person's name is Maria, because when Sarah mentioned that name, her master's face immediately darkened. Realizing Milkit hit the nail on the head, Flum explains to her that she was part of the hero group and that some of them always treated her well. Eterna taught her a bit about medicines and elixirs, and Gaudio taught her about cursed equipment. Flum says that one day she'll ask Eterna to heal Milkit's face, because she can make an antidote. Milkit says her master is amazing, but Flum says she's not amazing but rather useless, since she was kicked out of the hero group for being nothing but dead weight to them. Somewhere else, the heroes are fighting a demon boss, but they can't even scratch him. Jean asks Cyril to use her bravery skill, but Cyril is so shaken by Flum's absence that she can't use her trump card anymore. Jean gets irritated with her because she can't get Flum out of her head, so he says, "Drop that stupid sentimentality, Flum was just useless." The demon gets irritated with the hero's weakness and prepares to finish them off, but takes a punch to the face from a demoness with generous attributes. She reminds him of the Demon King's orders not to kill humans. Then they say goodbye, calling the hero group Peace Destroyers, which makes it seem like the heroes are the villains there. While traveling to the village where the herbs they need are, everyone eats a delicious snack made by Milkit, and this makes her very happy, even though she doesn't show it. Sarah observes the beautiful scenery along the way, and Flum ends up seeing a mark on her neck. Sarah explains this is the mark of the faithful. Sarah talks a bit about her past and says that 8 years ago, her village was destroyed by demons, and that the heroine Maria's village met the same fate. And maybe that's why Maria took such good care of her. Flum ends up understanding why Maria acts so different when facing demons. Sarah says that although it's not publicized, demons continue to destroy human villages. But fortunately, there haven't been any deaths. Sarah says demons shouldn't go unpunished, and that if she encounters one, she won't rest until she defeats it. They finally arrive at the village, and after a great meal, Sarah and Flum jump on the bed. Flum calls Milkit, and she, with zero expression, also jumps. Milkit asks why they're doing this, and Flum explains that this kind of thing is just part of being a girl. The next day, Sarah and Flum went searching some caves to find the flowers, and Milkit stayed at the inn. Then she hears a rumor that there's a very dangerous monster in one of the caves, and that none of the adventurers who went to the caves came back. This leaves Milkit extremely worried about her master and Sarah. At the cave entrance, they encounter an ogre, but take it out easily, and upon entering the cave, they find a beautiful garden of rare flowers, so they start looking for the Kialari flower. Flum has no idea which flower it is, so she asks Sarah what color it is. Sarah says it's a blue flower. Right then, Dane's henchmen destroy the cave exit. Sarah gets absolutely furious and states that evil people like Dane will be punished. This makes Flum smile, and she thanks Sarah for easing the tension of the moment, even if unintentionally. But something even worse was about to come, because a sinister ogre appears, with a bizarre spiral, looking like it came straight out of one of Junji Ito's works. The girls hide from the ogre, and when they analyze its abilities, her name is right there. It's as if the creature only exists to get her. Sarah asks why Flum's name is in the ogre's abilities, but Flum doesn't know either, and this leaves them both pretty scared. Right then, the ogre attacks them and Flum saves Sarah, but ends up losing one of her legs. Sarah tries to heal her, but due to the nervousness of the moment, she forgets that healing magic has the opposite effect on Flum, which makes her feel even more pain. Sarah apologizes, and when the ogre approaches, Sarah grabs Flum and carries her as fast as she can. Flum manages to restore her leg, and both attack the ogre, but the monster is hard as steel. They run away but are cornered at the edge of a cliff, and before they're hit by another attack from the monster, Flum grabs Sarah's arm, and they jump into the abyss. And that's it for today, folks. If you enjoyed anime recaps like this, drop a like to show support. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.